Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast, episode 78 on Thursday night football, talking about everything Club Leon in English. So much to talk about after a really crazy, chaotic last jornada. A lot of some movement on around the table. So we'll definitely talk about how the jornada 17 ended and what the repechaje looks like. Obviously, Leon is in repechaje, which is why we're doing a podcast, and I think we're just gonna go pod by pod after this. So we'll have lots to talk about Leon versus Toluca this weekend. Talk about, obviously, last podcast, Nacho Abri's departure, possible options, and the new news for today as well. Thank you for joining us via Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Let us know your thoughts throughout the show of, what your opinions are, anything you want to say. We'll be happy to interact with you guys on screen. The other piece to this pod, I am not alone, Carlos and Louis. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing pretty well. Well.
Excited for this weekend.
Excited. We're pumped. Full of emotion. Lots. So I guess, guys, let's just start talking about the big news today. Kind of a little sneak peek last night. Obviously, we were talking off camera. Santiago Colombato, Leon, is basically buying his car, right?
Yeah, good news. Very good news. I think we've all talked about this in previous podcasts that we want him to stay. He's been a great option. He's been a great pickup, and it's a well-deserved pickup for him and for the club because he's been commanding the midfield. I mean, he's basically made Jefecito disappear. We don't even hear about him anymore. He has a bright future. He's only 24, so it's a great pickup, I think.
Yeah, he's been a revelation this tournament. A tournament that saw a major piece leave in Pedro Aquino from the central midfield and leaving us with more questions than answers as to how that very important role would be filled. And here comes Colombato coming in. Nobody knows who he is, other than the fact that he's in the U23 Argentine national coming from a club in Belgium. But it was kind of a last-minute signing that nobody really knew what to make of. Seemed like one of those typical Leon signings on the cheap that, for the most part, don't amount to anything. So this was a very, very pleasant surprise to have Colombato come in and do what he's done. Make us forget not just about Jefecito, but also Pedro Aquino, for that matter. He's definitely been a revelation, and who knows really what this signing means for his long-term future with the club. He probably is still thinking about options for the future of his career outside of Mexico, back in Europe more than likely. We're talking about an Argentine international, even in the U23 ranks. That's pretty high profile for Liga MX. So who knows how long he may end up actually being here, but the fact that we're controlling his immediate future, his immediate destiny, is reassuring. I would love to see him become a staple, a figure for years to come in Leon. Who knows if that'll happen, but for the foreseeable future anyway, he is under team control, and that is a big positive.
Yes. And he's going to have a chance to play Liguilla. He's going to have a chance to play a Champions. He's going to have a chance to play a couple of tournaments, important tournaments that are coming up. So we'll see. We're also going to see how he meshes with the new coach, the new coach's system. We'll talk about the new coach in a bit, or potential new coaches. But it'll be interesting to see if he can also fit into a different system, or if he can be used in different ways.
Definitely. Do we know any other details regarding his contract? Not right now, right? Like Louis was saying, like how long is he signing for? I think his the amount was like one. Was it one?
Well, the buyout amount was $1 million US.
Million US,
but that doesn't necessarily correlate to his wages or what they're going to be paying him, or the length of the deal. I think I heard somewhere someone said 4 years. That seemed a little long.
A little long.
But yeah, these are things that Liga MX clubs are very secretive about. We probably won't have the full information.
Yeah, I read on a blog post. I don't know if it's a blog post or an official, if they're official media, but there was a post in Belgium that said it was around 800,000 euros, which is basically about $1 million US. But that's all I heard. I didn't hear anything about any length of contract or anything.
Okay. Guess we'll find out the next upcoming days. So Santi se queda en León. Like Louis said, we're all kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of those signings that we're kind of like, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's kind of a flip of a coin if they're gonna adjust or not. But I think he came at a really great moment. Jefecito very dimmed out. Obviously, like Louis said, departure Pedro Aquino. So he just fit really well, and I think we're all very, very happy that Leon did purchase him. Also, I mean, come on, the creative way, the Alexa. I mean, they're always trying to find the most innovative ways to announce their players, as always.
Yeah, I think we all knew something big was going to happen as soon as they posted the first clip. But yeah, this was the main rumor of the week, so I kind of figured it was going to be it.
Yeah, they're running out of time. Shout out to Liga Mikey said hello on YouTube. Hello. So I guess, I mean, Jose's not here right now, but I think there's still other players that we kind of have to sort out if we're going to keep or not. Kind of like Angel Mena is still kind of up in the air.
I haven't heard much about Angel Mena. I mean, he has another 6 months in his contract, but I haven't heard much about any like re-signings or extensions. And I think that's it, right? I don't think there's anybody else whose contract is about to expire.
At least no one of note. I mean, we pretty much know that Gigliotti is all but on his last Leon legs.
Yeah.
Mena, that's a tricky one. I mean, his production seems like it's gone down, but if you look at the numbers, I mean, he's been one of the most productive players in Liga MX still in terms of goals and assists over the last couple seasons. It seems like he's taken a step back. So I don't know. I think this Liga could be really important for him, for his future with the team, whether they even want to keep him. He's been very, very productive, but as we all know, his Ligas, and especially playing in finals, hasn't been the best moments for him. And that's when you need your best players to shine most. Luckily, we were able to finish the job without him this last time. But boy, howdy, he could have really helped in that first final when he wasn't available. He's kind of been that guy who disappears in the big moments. That's kind of been as productive as he's been. That's kind of been the narrative that surrounds him. So I think this Liga could be really important for his future with the club.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind keeping him. I just don't want to pay too much for him. Like, I'd rather him take a veteran's pay cut and stay with the club. I mean, he does have a chance to make a few runs at some historic records. He's already like top 10 goal scorers. I don't know if that's a fact or not. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I wouldn't mind having him. I mean, he's a good option. He's obviously starter potential, and if we can find someone who's much better quality or who might be more promising, maybe he could be a good option off of the bench too. Angel Mena. Yeah.
I think the big question, like Louis said, is he kind of fails to show up, especially in big games. It was talked about a lot in the last matchup about, the callando and like kind of how you celebrate the goal and who that was
Oh
meant
yeah.
for, and it was all over Twitter and like, okay, man, like we respect you and everything, but you got to show up. You got to actually, I guess, le falta maybe cumplir in those big games. So I don't know. I mean, he's not a bad option. I think we've gotten the best out of him, and he is a very productive player. Again, I saw that question mark sometimes where I'm like, Mena, where are you? You're there, but where are you? you know?
Yeah, I mean, as good as he's been for us, there's always been kind of that question about how bought in is he really to this organization. He
Yeah.
gets this moniker of being kind of a pecho frio. I don't think he is. I just think that's kind of
How
that's
he
just kind
is,
of how
who
he
he is.
carries himself. That's just kind of
Yeah.
how he is. That's kind of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't show a ton of emotion, like in the way that you would want someone who's really bought into your club stereotypically would.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a knock on him. The knock on him is that he hasn't shown up in the biggest of moments. Whereas Tldp, he hasn't had a very good season. He had that one great game against Atlas, and his tenure with the team has been up and down at best. But people still consider wanting to keep him because he showed up in the biggest of moments. He showed up in the biggest moment you possibly could. And so there's still talk about keeping him just for that, basically. While Mena, who's been far more productive over the course of his Leon tenure in general, doesn't show up in those big moments. And so the same questions about whether we should keep him or not are there. So, yeah, I think this Liga is big for him. It also depends what kind of role he's going to want to have moving forward. He's getting up there. He's not a spring chicken anymore. But is he still going to want to be the guy, whether it's here or somewhere else? And maybe that's not in the cards for him anymore, depending on whether options are out there in his position, at his position for Leon moving forward.
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna have plenty of offers. I mean, even within Liga MX, there's gonna be a few teams that are gonna want to sign him if we choose not to re-sign him. But even abroad, like in the U.S., we've talked about it before. I think he'll have plenty of offers. He's still a quality player. He's still a quality winger.
Yeah.
But he's getting older, and I don't know if I don't know. I just don't know if we want to keep him. I don't know if he doesn't show up in big moments, and I think that for a lot of us is kind of like a pet peeve about him.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it sucks. I mean, yeah, he's been a productive player, but you need players who also show up in the big moments and who are able to close out a series or close out a game. And he hasn't proven to do that yet.
Definitely. We'll see what happens the next upcoming weeks. Guys, so I know we talked about this last episode. We pretty much talked about this throughout the whole podcast because it was big news of Nacho Ambri's departure at the end of this season. Could leave with the possible bicampeonato. We did throw that out there as well. There's lots of talks about, maybe what ended it for him. Obviously the rumors are still up in the air. Nacho Ambriz is going to Tigres, but now it's sounding like Piojo, and then something about Costa Rica. Like, it's just all over the place. But after Nacho Ambriz's departure, guys, we did spit out some names last podcast about possible replacements. So who's next?
I don't know. There's a few candidates that are like at the top of my list. I think realistically, the most realistic would probably be Pablo Guede, like we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
But you have heard of other names. The one that's been linked, that we've been linked to the most, is this Argentine Ariel Holan, and I don't know much about him. I haven't really researched him. I think Jose did the most research on him, but apparently his style is supposed to be fit with the type of style that we play. But again, I don't know much about him, but he's been linked heavily to the club over the past few weeks.
Yeah, he'd be my choice. I don't know much about him either, but doing a little reading up, I mean, I'm getting a little excited. I'm getting more excited about the possibility of Holan than Guede. I mean, Guede is a solid option with Liga MX's experience, and the reports suggest if they can't get Holan, he would be the top choice among names that people would recognize in Liga MX circles. But I'm a little more excited about Olan. I think, we look at Larcamón in Puebla. We've seen bringing in a fresh face, someone who doesn't know the league can bring in successful results. He's got a good track record. He's being sought after by other clubs in Brazil, and I think he could be an exciting option. I don't know, for some reason, normally when you hear a name, you don't instantly recognize it. You're like, who? I don't know. Are they just, they're going for the cheap. They're taking a chance on somebody who may or may not pan out in any way. This doesn't seem like that, though. I hadn't heard of him. This isn't a case where just because we haven't heard of him or don't know that much about him doesn't mean, or it means he isn't good. I don't know. It's a very, very interesting choice. It kind of came out of nowhere, but it's a very interesting choice.
Yeah. And I guess getting whoever it is at a good time, that way we still have that summer for, possible transfers and all that would definitely come in play. And that kind of makes me a little bit nervous just thinking, how is this Leon going to look in the next couple of months? Is there going to be a lot of movement? You know what I mean? That's kind of the little scary in a way.
Yeah. The word on the town is that Olan's issue is the salary more than. I think we, between the two, we may be more likely to end up with Guede just because he's willing to come for less. And Olan has an offer. I can't remember from which club it is in Brazil, but he wants to come to León because the project, the Proyecto Deportivo, is more interesting to him than what the other offers that he has on the table. The only issue is the salary. We know that León is kind of the Moneyball A's of Liga MX. They don't want to try to fill in the cracks with things that work. They don't make big splashes for anybody, not for players nor for coaches. So we'll see how this plays out.
Maybe Club de Cuervos, we can all chip in,
I'm just glad that it looks like Ambriz will not be going to Tigres. I would have had a hard time looking at him the same way ever again if he'd done that.
Mm-hmm. So Lisa, question like, where is he headed to?
If he goes to Costa Rica, I think I'm perfectly fine with that. He wouldn't be the first beloved ex-León técnico to go that. Hopefully he has a better tenure there than the other one that I'm thinking of. But I think if he go, and it would also kind of it would complete the story. It would complete the narrative that has been floating around about him, that he wants to coach a national team. Like that's a challenge that he wants. And of course, I think he'd prefer it to be Mexico, but that's not going to be an option for him anytime soon. So I think going to Costa Rica, another powerhouse, you could say, in CONCACAF, would make sense. And also, it would be him not going to another Liga MX club. So just the narrative surrounding his departure it wouldn't leave as sour of a taste in everyone's mouths.
I'd rather see him outside of Mexico than in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. And I think Costa Rica is one of those teams that I think they previously approached him. I think that's one of the teams that he said that right before signing with León, he was in negotiations with them or in talks with them. But obviously León pulled the trigger before Costa Rica could. But it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a good new direction for him taking on a national team. It's not a big national team per se. I'm not trying to belittle Costa Rica because they're a good national team, but I don't think they're a powerhouse. But I think it's a good mid-sized national team that he can maybe find success with, and he'll have Joe Campbell there with him. So it'll be pretty interesting. I'm excited for him. Hopefully, if he does go there. But yeah, it's better news than having him go to some other place like Tigres. Like it's if he goes to Tigres, I'm gonna hate him. Like if he goes to Tigres.
No, it seems like the Piojo thing is all but a done deal.
Right.
Again, as we always say, we'll believe it when it actually is officially announced. And until then, anything's possible, but it seems like it's pretty darn likely.
Which is, I think, crazy. I'm not a fan of Piojo, and people know that. I just don't know, just the Tigres Piojo, what type, I mean, what are they thinking? Are they actually thinking longevity in that? Because they've had longevity with Tuca Ferretti, so I don't know how that coin is going to flip on them and in regards to what they're thinking. And for Nacho Ambriz, I definitely think it's a different direction to go, which kind of makes me question qué proyectazo he turned down for Leon, you know what I mean? And I agree with Carlos's, talk about, I mean, if he wants to go get the experience for a national team, all for him. It just makes you think, like
That's a different kind of challenge. I mean,
yeah,
you play less frequently, but you never know which players you're going to have available. You kind of have to get creative, and I can see him thinking of that as a step forward, adding another dimension to his career, to his resume, or something he could just be personally interested in doing. And I'm all for it if it means he's not coaching. We don't have to see him on the other sideline coaching another Liga MX club. That prospect is not intriguing to me in any way. But more than Piojo going to Tigres, around the Tigres coaching thing, I'm far more interested to see where Tuca Ferretti is going to end up, because he's got teams after him now, and I don't think he's going to retire. He probably should, but I think he's probably too stubborn to. So I'm really interested to see where he's going. I heard Mazatlan. I heard maybe Atlético San Luis. There are teams interested in his services. That's far more interesting to me than who ends up at Tigres. Yeah.
Yeah, San Luis, I think it's just a lost case at this point. I mean,
they're so lost that there's even rumors of them moving to Morelia.
Really? I didn't hear about this yet.
Yeah, which would be hilarious.
You gotta love Leon.
Yeah.
we gotta try to snag Ibanez off of them before they make that.
Yeah,
move.
He can't be happy about his talents being wasted on a club like that. They're just a sad case.
Gives us a reason to throw some of our players out, Guccigliotti, Godinez.
But yeah, no, I saw that today. They want a team back in Morelia. The Atlético Morelia project in the Liga de Expansión has been a resounding success.
Just bring Chiapas back.
I'd be fine with that. That's a fun trip. That's a really fun trip.
I've heard about that.
Which
they've been brought back. They brought them back like 3 times, and they even moved the Tapachula team to Tuxtla so they could have better chances of getting promoted to Liga MX. And then that team is now in Cancun. So I'm all for bringing back Chiapas. They got the stadium all ready to go, and that's a really fun trip. Lots of stuff to see.
One of my to go on my bucket list.
Well, when it happens, guys, and when Leon plays there, that's where we're finally we're having our reunion trip. Yeah.
Let's go.
Hopefully before that, because it's looking like a long time before that happens. Okay. We will see what happens in regards to other possible options for La Fiera. Like we said, Pablo Guede, an option. Ariel Orlan, who knows? Maybe Tuca Ferretti goes in that circle. LOL, but you never know. Anyways, guys, moving on to the main subject of this podcast is Repechaje, León versus Toluca. The jornada 17, guys. I mean, I don't think much surprises, can we say? I mean, we all knew Pachuca and Chivas were going to face each other. It was just a matter of, if we were going to go directamente with the first 4 or no. It would depend on a lot of results. Last jornada, Pachuca beat San Luis 5-1. The kind of Simpsons, like, stop, he's already dead situation. You like that, Louis? I know you like the Simpsons.
I did. And I'm glad you quoted it in English. I can't stand watching it in Spanish.
How is it in Spanish? How do you quote it in Spanish?
I think it's just que ya está muerto. I mean, it's the same.
Oh, yeah, no,
I'm just saying in general, The Simpsons in Spanish to me, I cannot. I I get into violent arguments with people who try to tell me it's funnier in Spanish because it just ain't.
Atlas beat Necaxa 5-1. Juarez 1-0 over Toluca. Chivas and Tigres playing at the same time that León was. They ended in a 0-0. Not too much going on there. Obviously, our win versus Querétaro 2-1. Cruz Azul and Xolos 1-1. Interesting. Monterrey beating Mazatlán 1-0. Monterrey just looked very poor. Very, very just done at the end. Puebla versus Santos 0-0, and the last game of the jornada, America versus Pumas. Pumas still having an option to get in, but thank God they did not, so they ended up not. But yeah, so Repechaje, guys, Atlas versus Tigres. Pretty good game.
Very good.
Yeah.
It could go either way.
It really could go either way.
It could go.
I mean, I'm kind of saying Atlas.
You can have Tigres just suddenly wake up and become the Tigres that we all have been accustomed to seeing, where they just kind of coast through the regular season and then, you know, hit the gas when they get into the playoffs. Or you can see this Atlas do some historic stuff. Like they've been playing really well this season. One of the big surprises, I think, right behind Puebla, they're probably the biggest surprise of the season. And I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing Tigres get eliminated by Puebla.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't think Atlas. They're like, this great season we had, and our reward for this is playing Tigres in the Repechaje. Yeah, I know it's at home and everything, but I don't think they're. I can't imagine they're too stoked about that.
It can't be. Anyone but Tigres.
Anyone but Tigres. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
doesn't even with the season that they've had, which has not been great. Like, I can't imagine that Atlas is. I'm sure they would have preferred any other opponent. To be quite honest with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a very, very interesting game that Saturday. Probably the best, because the other game on Saturday is the Santos versus Querétaro.
That one's so one-sided.
Although, I mean, 12 beat the 5 last season. Anything can happen in 90 minutes and PKs. 90 minutes and straight to PKs, anything can happen. Which is why having to play the Repechaje in general is so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's painful that if we'd held on for the win in Mazatlan, we would be in the top 4.
Yeah.
The way everything else played out. I was kind of hoping that wouldn't happen. I was kind of hoping that even if we'd won in Mazatlan, just the way the results played out, we still didn't make the top 4, just so that it wouldn't feel like that result was so important. But of course it was. And if we won that game, the way the rest of everything played out, we would have been in the top 4. That's painful. However, I will say I think the Repechaje scenario played out as well as it possibly could have for León. I'd rather be 6th than 5th, because 6th, in theory, would set us up with in a quarterfinal rematch with Puebla. And I know Monterrey hasn't had a good season. They look kind of mediocre. They look kind of shabby. They look kind of out of sorts, very out of sorts at this point. But I'd rather play an inexperienced Puebla side who's just happy to be there in the position that they're in than a war-torn, battle-torn, experienced Monterrey side with Javier Aguirre in a quarterfinal. I'd rather face Puebla than Monterrey.
Yep.
So I'm glad we're 6th and not 5th.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
So are we saying Santos?
I think Santos.
Yes, this of course assumes that Santos beats Querétaro, which I think they will.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Atlas or Tigres? You got to pick one.
I picked Tigres in that one. I'm sorry, Atlas. I think.
Ooh, okay. I pick Atlas.
Okay.
I pick Atlas too. I just don't see Tigres just turning it on. I feel like if they were going to turn it on, they would have turned it on already. But they're just not there this season.
Sunday, obviously, we'll talk about León and Toluca, but the other game is Chuca and Chivas. What are our thoughts about that game? I mean, who would have thought? I mean, obviously, with Repechaje gives more teams, but I mean, Pachuca did turn it around.
That's still have the closest matchup.
I think I think
So,
Pachuca playing at home pulls it off, but the league and the federation will want Chivas to win that one. So
yeah,
I
don't be
hope.
surprised if you see some funny
I
stuff
hope if you
happening.
see any. I hope we don't see anything funny go down to give the more popular team a chance to play the actual liguilla. Because really, let's not kid ourselves, guys. This repechaje exists so that Chivas can have a better chance every tournament to be in there. That's the
Yes.
only reason it's there.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
And of course, they've needed it both times to just to get in.
You're like, you're outside of the club. You can't even get in. That's kind of that type of scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the no homers club, the no Chivas club, Chivas's club. We're allowed to have one. Yeah. But yeah, I go with Pachuca in that one. I think that one might come down to PKs though. I don't know, but I think
so?
at home, Pachuca pulls it out. They've traditionally been a very good home team. They have fans now, so yeah, I think
Same.
Pachuca pulls that one out.
Same. I'm going with Pachuca. They had a great. They closed off the season really great. Chivas has always just been like the roller coaster of a ride this season. Like they either win or they lose, and they just don't have like a good streak behind them. I don't know, man. I like I'd rather see Pachuca win this. I feel like they deserve it the most for how they've closed out the season.
Don't hate me. I think I might go the other way just because of the. I just think they're gonna pass this one, and they're gonna get all the Chivarmanos hyped for passing on to the next round. But I think it's gonna be like a 0-0 go to PKs. I believe that.
You think so? I mean, could be. I think there's some teams that are going to play for that 0-0. Like Querétaro, obviously, they're going to play for the 0-0.
Yeah.
This Pachuca versus Chivas might go down to PKs. And I really think Toluca is also going to play for the 0-0 there. I don't think they're going to play us man-to-man.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see a couple of PKs go down this weekend.
Definitely. Leon versus Toluca. So thank you, Carlos, for sharing with the group chat or before kind of the possibility, which kind of looked that we were definitely, for the most part, going to face Toluca. How are we feeling versus our rival? I can't remember how we ended in the regular season. Louis, do you remember when we faced them?
Against Toluca?
Yeah.
Against Toluca? Yeah, it was a 2-1 win at home. That was jornada. Was that jornada 14? I want to say. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
13th, but yes,
13.
2-1.
13. Yeah. 2 second half goals. We went in trailing 1-0 at the half on kind of a sloppy defensive possession or a defensive intervention, but then they took care of their business in the second half. Yeah, I think that was the one where Angel Mena scored he had his PK saved and then scored on the rebound.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember now.
That game. How are we feeling facing them in Repechaje? Are we feeling comfortably, or comfortable is a wrong word to use at this point?
I mean, the whole concept of a repechaje is uncomfortable. Just 90 minutes for everything, even playing at home. I think that will be a factor, but comfortable might be a stretch. It's nervous. It's nerve-wracking. I mean, I've been to several Copa MX elimination games at home that seemed like they should be straightforward wins at home and just weren't. That's the only thing I can really compare to this, because the repechajes was long disappeared by the time I started following the team. And this is only the second tournament back. So something like this is uncharted territory for me and my fandom. But yeah, it's nervy. Anything could happen. Anything can happen in 90 minutes, no matter where it's played. 90 minutes, especially when it goes straight to PKs. So in terms of the specific rival, I mean, each one that we had a possibility of facing, what was it? It was Pumas, Querétaro, or Toluca. I think this is the one this is probably the most preferable because we just played Querétaro.
Yeah.
And they lost. And so for them to come right back and, maybe more motivated and maybe having studied us up a little bit more. And I don't know, something about that just didn't sit right with me. And then Pumas is Pumas, they're the big club, and then like the whole championship or finals rematch, and they're going to want to come in and all that. And I'm glad not just to avoid that, but the fact they didn't even make the Liguilla. That's I'm plenty happy about that. or the Repechaje. They didn't make the Repechaje. I'm plenty happy about that. And so think of those three possibilities. Toluca's the best. I mean, they all have their. In the end, you gotta beat whoever's in front of you. It doesn't really matter who it is. But if you have to choose, I'm fine with this Toluca matchup. Toluca did not finish the season strong. They have been very up and down all season. They've been good at home, although they've just had some wonky results. They're very hit or miss, and they've viene de más a menos for sure. So I think Leon even missing some players still, but getting some back, getting to see you and Colombato back, I think will be huge. Chapo's still out, but I think they should get the job done. It's still nervy though. It's very nervy.
It's very nervy. It kind of reminds me of the return leg that we had against Morelia.
Yeah.
It can go any direction. I feel like if they, si no se ponen las pilas, like, we see this with the team a lot, where they come out, they don't play with urgency, especially during a big game like this. They don't play with urgency until we're down. I don't want to see that happen. I want us to, hit the gas as soon as that whistle blows, as soon as the ball starts rolling, and just hit the gas and show these guys that we mean business. Because in this position, it would be, with everything that's gone on this season. We've lost players. We lost a CCL. We haven't had the best season. Actually, it's the worst season in Nacho Ambrís' tenure with Leon. With everything that's been going on this season, I think it wouldn't surprise me if this comes out to, if it comes out with a bad result. But I hope it doesn't. I know we're the favorites, and I hope we don't get too overconfident, too cocky. It is a little worrying, like Louis said, because it is Toluca. They are a good team. It's not like they're a terrible team. They're a good team. They can surprise you at any moment, and they have the legendary Sambu, who can still ball at 45 years old. But it's a little bit worrying, but we'll see what happens. I hope these guys can go out there and really bring it to them.
Definitely. It could go either way. I'm hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. I agree with what both of you guys have said, especially like Carlos said, no sense of urgency, and I'm really expecting that they're really motivated, because it is a do or die game. Like, it's just you have to go out or you're done. So it'll be very interesting, and it's very, very unfortunate that we won't have Chapito, because I, for some reason, forgot that he actually is out 2 games, not just one. So
yeah. And
then obviously Navarrito, we won't see him for a couple of months. So we, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I mean, is it bad? We just don't know what to expect.
Well, the fact that we even have to be in the repechaje just gives it a different flavor. Like, you don't expect a repechaje team to win the title. It's happened, sure. And we wouldn't, in a normal season without the repechaje, we'd just be the 6th place team, and we'd be in, and we'd be talking in completely different terms. But just I don't know, this season just hasn't felt, it didn't feel the same as the last one. We're like, okay, we got the job done in the regular season. Now it's time to go into Liguilla and just prove our worth. This time it's like, well, we gotta prove a little bit more than just our worth. We didn't have the greatest of seasons. We turned it around at the end and looked like a contender again, mostly, but I don't know. I think that game against Mazatlan is still weighing on me. If we'd gotten that result, the way it looked like we were going to, I think the narrative would be different now.
Yeah.
And of course, the way Conca Champions played out, if that had played out differently, if that had played out the way everybody thought it was going to and supposed to, the narrative would be different now. And of course, if we didn't have the injuries that we now have, the narrative would be different now. And, we like to think that Chapito missing this match and Navarrito and Osfi now missing the entire Liguilla is not going to be a factor. I think we can overcome those injuries. We can overcome those absences. I think we can. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. The path is much more difficult without those guys, for sure.
So what are we thinking as a predicted lineup?
Good question.
Is Gil Buron starting? Or is Avion starting?
I think Avion's going to get the start. As a right back?
Yeah.
I think Avion starts as right back. Tecillo.
I think Tecillo will start on the left back. Or sorry,
left back.
On the left back.
Oh, you think so?
Yes. And I think Jairo will continue to start. If you notice, Jairo's kind of played up higher most of the season. When he started, he's come in he was inamovible at left back for a while, but he's played up higher, more in a winger role or wing back, winger, in a more blatantly offensive role in his last few outings. I think we'll see that again. I think you got to have him in there because he really changes the game for me when he's in. And I've gone on record saying many times, and I'll say it again, that I think the team has looked best with Tecillo at left back. No secret, I'm not an Osby fan. I'm not happy for his injury because I want to have that variante. Mm-hmm. But I think that the team has looked its best in the Ambris era with William Tecillo at left back, and so I hope to see him there. I think we will.
So Barreiro and
Mosquera.
You think so? I don't know. I think it might be.
I think it might be.
I think it might be the jovencito.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
Lord knows I've struggled with Mosquera, but I'm gonna have to go Pedro Hernandez and a Steven Barreiro combo.
I'm going with experience here, Liguilla experience, and I mean, it's his first big game. I mean, this isn't regular season. This isn't Querétaro or Atlas.
He looked way better.
He did, and I agree with you. But this is a different level. This is a do or die game, and Mosquera has been there before. He's been in these do or die games.
Mosquera's like un arma de doble filo. Like he makes me nervous.
He has his moments, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel it. I feel like he's gonna go with Mosquera. I feel like that's his. As many blunders as he's had in the past, I think he's gonna go with him. That's what I think. Now you guys are free to say, the youngster, and that's fine. And I could see that happening. It wouldn't be a surprise to me.
Well, the other issue is the number of foreigners in the starting lineup. If you start Mosquera, then especially with Chapo and Navarro, who are usually always, they're the Mexicanos confiables in the starting 11, and they're both out, and Osby also can't play. So that's 3 Mexicanos that you can't take into consideration. So if you also start Mosquera, then you basically have to start also, in the in the midfield, which I don't think he wants to do with Colombato ready to go. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be Pedro Hernandez. I really do.
Okay.
But, so I guess with Santi, who are we pairing Santi with? I really don't want also. I really don't. I am so sorry. You know what? Let's just start Fidel.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
I really admire that
these are big games. These are big games, and it can come down to one. It can come down to one mistake, one play where you have shaky legs and you give up a goal. I mean, I don't know.
But Mosquera blew freaking CONCACAF for us.
I'd rather have somebody who's getting paid top dollar make a mistake than someone who's 18 years old make a mistake and have it haunt them for the rest of the year.
So who do you want to pair Carlos with Colombato?
I'm putting Meneses there.
You're putting Meneses there? Louis, thoughts?
Yeah, I could go with Ambriz. I think Ambriz, honestly, more defensive and more defensive qualities, more recuperación. And you can push up Meneses a little bit and let him be a little more dangerous in the attack and not have to. I don't know. And it's a tough call.
It's a struggle, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Senaku said, "Sorry, not sorry." Also,
Yeah,
well, does that mean sorry, not sorry, but also who's going to play, or sorry, sorry, not sorry?
I took it like sorry, also you can't come and play. Senaku, can you please clarify that? So are we saying Jairo and Mena on the wings?
Jairo and Mena.
Or no?
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good. Those are good wingers. I would go with that. I feel confident with that. And then then you have Campbell as a super sub.
Yeah.
Right. And then up top you have Davila and Gigliotti. Is that too many foreigners already?
I think it already. Yeah. I mean, I think that's.
I mean, you have Avion. I mean,
what's the foreigners limit? Is it 9 or 7?
I can't remember how many have to be in a. Well, there's a number that has to be in a match day squad, and then I think there's a number that has to be in a starting lineup too.
Yeah, I think it's.
But I'm not.
It's 9 on match day.
He said for him not to play.
All right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Well,
Also,
I mean, does this mean we actually have to play also? I put my money on a youngster.
No, or Fidel Ambriz.
Yeah.
Ambriz.
Or, I mean, it's funny that Jefecito isn't even considered anymore.
He's not, even though he's an option.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josue Espinosa. He's been part of the convo all the time. Gigliotti must start. The team needs the same Gigliotti from last season. So
yeah, I don't think so.
No? Okay. Louis said no.
I don't think it's going to happen.
If we've been saving him for
not
this
against
long,
his ex-team is good. Well, he's probably going to go back.
That's a good point. He might be extra motivated. Yeah. The team that he's probably going back to when the season is over.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go back there, though. Not after what he said about them.
Yeah.
Colombato. Colombato, Ambriz, Jairo, Mena, and just have one up top. I kind of would like Jairo
what about Davila? Does Davila not play behind Gigliotti? That would be a good. I mean, he's a good playmaker. He's good with the ball.
Oh.
Or you can have Meneses there.
This Montes and Navarro really is tough on us, isn't it?
Man.
Yeah, I mean, they're guys we can't rely on. We can't rely on their availability. I mean, the team is bigger than one or two absences, but these are certainly the absences that are the toughest ones to cover.
Especially just this one without Montes in a do or die game. I mean, he just must be cringing on the bench. Like, I want to go in so bad if things start going south. But
yeah, although, man, if we can somehow squeak past Toluca in this repechaje, we'll have him super fresh legs for whatever comes later.
For Puebla.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys, what do you say we go to prediction time?
Let's do it.
In honor of that, Louis' mom did say I missed the prediction video. Well, we're going to go ahead and go into prediction time. Dun, 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 dun. Prediction time.
Prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time, prediction time.
prediction time. Let us know what your predictions are for the Repechaje matchup versus Toluca. Do or die. Louis, let's go with you. What is your prediction?
I think it's going to be another 2-1, same as in Jornada 13. I think it might not happen the same way it did then. Hopefully we don't have to play from behind and be really, really nervous in the second half. Hopefully we don't have to be praying for penalties just to have a shot to go through. But yeah, I think it's going to be another 2-1. Toluca is up and down, as shaky as they've been this season. They have a lot of attacking weapons. They have the top goal scorer of the season, Alexis Canelo. They have a great play. They have one of the best playmakers the Liga MX has ever seen in Ruben Sambueza. They're going to find the back of the net at least once. But I think Leon finds a way to pull out another 2-1 victory at home. And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Louis saying 2-1. Shout out to Louis and Milton there. Sorry. Luigi has my prediction. Shout out to Milton that has Louis' prediction. He is going also with a 2-1. With that being said, guys, I'm going with the 3-1. We'll be optimistic, and I agree with Louis that we are going to get a goal in our goal. So I'm gonna say 3-1. Leon advances. So shout out to Luigi Garcia, and he did give us a possible lineup. But Carlos, your prediction?
I'm not as optimistic. Just because this is Liguilla, neither team wants to lose, neither team wants to concede, and especially Toluca. I mentioned it earlier. I think that they're going to come out and play for the draw. I think it's much more beneficial for them to play for the draw than to play us man to man, because they're not going to beat us man to man.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to park the bus on us, which obviously we're not. We'd never play well against teams that park the bus on us. But I think we will manage to sneak one in, and we'll keep a clean sheet. I think Cota's going to come up big for us, but it is Liguilla, Repechaje now, somewhat Liguilla, and it's just going to be a really close game. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a really close game.
1-0. Okay. And we have scoreboards all over the place. Luigi said he gave us his possible prediction. He said Cota, Jairo, Tecillo, Mosquera, Avión, Mena, Colombato, Oso. Is there type of Jefecito? Meneses, Davila, and Campbell. How many is that? Is that too much? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's 12.
No, that's
if you put the slash.
It's 11. It's 11 because also slash Rodriguez is one or the other, not both.
Oh, okay, one or the other. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't want either one of them.
Well, there has to be another Mexicano in there, but I would put Fidel Ambriz instead of either of those.
Fidel Ambriz, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on Fidel Ambriz instead. Okay. So I guess it's just questions and, who might be paired up with Santi. Obviously, I guess for me and Louis, just the center back duo. Carlos's confidence with possible Mosquera experience.
Yeah, he put Mosquera over Barreiro.
Barreiro's going to be in there for sure.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
But it's interesting that he said Jairo as a left back, because I also see that as a possibility. Even though I prefer Tecillo there, I like Jairo as a left back as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, lot to think about. The countdown to Sunday. Of course, we got to get through Saturday matchups, which will be definitely very interesting. But, I mean, hopefully we will be confident once we see a lineup an hour prior to the matchup. Anything else before we go?
Big games.
Let's just hope this result is straightforward and as straightforward as it can possibly be against a lesser opponent at home, and that me especially, who will, of course, I will be attending it live in person, sitting there suffering. I don't want that. So
yeah,
let's just make this straightforward for once. None of the Conca Champions funny business, just intense from the get-go. Go out and take care of business and foot on the gas, please.
I think we have to mentally prepare for tragedy, like, because it is a possibility. If we lose, we're going home. But I think we should all expect a victory. I think we should all expect to move on. But just be prepared, because you never know. You never know with this team.
You just never know.
Yeah.
Okay. And Josue, like in the last podcast, he said the last dance begins.
Yep.
Very, very pumped up.
Last dance.
Thank you, everybody that joined us via Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Louis' mom, after the prediction video, said muchas gracias. Very, very. Thank Louis. Awesome video for prediction time. Thank you for Louis. Sorry, Luigi. I'm looking at Louis, but I'm saying Luigi. Luigi, Josue, Miton. He said, "You never prepare for defeat."
Never.
Never. Senaku.
Defeat does not exist in this dojo. Does it?
Definitely. Don't forget, guys, to catch up with the Repechaje this weekend. If you don't have anything else to watch, please watch the Repechaje. Lots of good games. Order pizza, beer, anything. It's going to be a very exciting weekend of Liga MX football. Let us know what your thoughts are. We'll always be there live. Obviously, we said he will be live in the stadium, so be prepared to see a video from him outside. Very exciting times, like Carla said. We'll be mentally preparing ourselves. But yeah, so hopefully everything goes good. Thank you for everybody that joined us on this episode 78 of Repechaje. Don't forget to follow Club Leon EN on Twitter for everything that you need to know of Club Leon in English, keeping you updated with all the latest news and also live tweeting if you guys, for any reason, are going to miss the matchup. But please try and make the matchup. You got to watch it. But yeah, so Carlos and Louis, we're taking off.
Se viene la novena.
Peace.
Ser Fiera es un orgullo. Let's go.
Let's go.